Hello and welcome to the Built to Last Masterclass. We are going to talk all about how to create a community that helps you sell out your launches and generates wealth for you. This is going to be 3 days, and it really is the key to selling out your NFT collections. Everyone knows what it is, but very few know how to execute it effectively. Building the community and building a community that is so tight knit and that is ready and cannot wait to buy from you. It's an art, and it's really imperative if you are going to sell and if you do want to sell out your NFTs. You really do need somebody to sell to. And you can't just sell to any community. It needs to be your community. It needs to be crafted in a way that is nurtured by you and really wants to even just buy from you. So we're going to be breaking this all down. And so if you're watching this now, it will be in my Discord. This is going to be up for a week. So I'm going to actually be dropping these videos, one today and then a few days from now and another few days from now. So the last day is going to be Friday of this week. Then you're going to have one extra week to watch this for free if you are watching this live with me now. If you're not, then it more than likely has already been packaged up, and this has come with a utility for your NFT. So if that's you, congratulations. I am so happy you are here. This is going to be such a great 3-day masterclass. It's going to be incredible. I'm really excited for you and for me, because I just think that this is so needed. And it's just a great reminder to get out there and just make sure and know and feel deep down in your core that this is the best thing that you can do for your NFT collection. So this masterclass is going to be 3 days. The first day today, we're going to be talking about the foundations of group formation. And creating community is basically showing up day by day and just laying down those bricks every single time. So we are always growing. However, just like anything, the foundation is going to be the most important thing. So I'm so excited to dive into this today. The foundation of relationships is important, the foundation of a home. And just like a group, foundation is going to be one of the most important things to kickstart off your community. Day 2 is going to be all about how to get people into your community. And day 3 is going to be how to nurture them and how to upkeep them and create a community where people want to stay, where they want to buy, and they are actually selling for you. Community building it takes a lot up front. And if you do it properly, especially getting those foundations in place, you will see that eventually it'll start taking on a life of its own, and it'll be a lot less easier in the end. Okay, so a few housekeeping items I want to go through is first, ask your questions. I will start a thread, ask them, where the channel that this is housed in, and I will show up at the end of the week, or the end of the 3 days, whenever that may be, and I will answer all of your questions. I want to make sure that you are getting the most out of this. If it's a question that has already been asked, I will skip it, or, I'll refer back to it. And if it's a question that's a little bit off topic, I will refer you to another masterclass that we've either already done or one that is coming down the pipeline. All right. So after that, it's going to be a week so it's a week, but within that week is going to be the Q&A. So it's still the last week. And for you who are with me live, the last day is going to be 3/25 to watch all of these for free before they get all packaged up. Okay. And after this, in 2 weeks, I am launching a program called Launch. Basically, it is what it is, how it sounds. It's all about launching your collection. I'm going to talk about that at the end because I want to make sure that I'm here to provide value. But if you do want, stay till the end. I will share with you how to get a free entry into Launch, so you don't have to pay. There's going to be a few things. And if you feel so inclined, I would love, love, love to get a testimonial from you, or just give me a shout out on Twitter. It doesn't matter. Just tag me. But I love seeing all of it. And it really does help me figure out what you guys are loving and what else I can do better to serve you. And the last thing I want to talk about before I just dive in is I'm going to be saying Discord a lot. And this was very much so based on a Discord community. However, it can be with any community. It can be a Slack community. It can be a text community. You know, if you have a group of texting or if you have a group in DMs, it can be your email community. It can really be anything. So just take this to heart. It's, you know, very overall strategy. It's the foundations. Again, it's the foundations of any group. And it's really yours to take it in and process it and really think about how it's going to best serve your community, wherever that community is. Okay. So just keep that in mind. What else? I already talked about the paid masterclass coming launch, talk about that at the end. Oh, yes, make sure, because I'm going to be talking about a great deal for you all who are watching in or with me live this week. Okay, so day one, the foundations of creating and crafting the perfect group. So this is going to be how you create a group that is so attractive to your ideal humans. Now, communities have been around for thousands and thousands of years. We see it over and over again, especially in the NFT space. That is becoming more important than ever. And you even see, even in Web 2, that the most successful brands and collections create communities. They create those die-hard followers. You see Harley Davidson, you see Peloton. Let's think of some Web 3 examples. Women Tribe. When they were pre-launch and launching and after launch, I swear every single Twitter space that they were in, they were having their community come up, and their community was literally crying about how much they loved their community. Now that's what we want to create for you. We have Fame Ladies. People don't stop talking about it. They have a really great story behind them. Alpha Girl. And, you know, we'll get more into, you know, the details of why, but you can just see, and you might even be able to look at it and be like, oh yeah, like I know exactly why they're successful at that. And they're all a little bit different. So we're going to hit on all of this, but truly, you can see, you know, Fame Ladies and Alpha Girl who have a way higher floor price, who've been away for way longer versus any other communities that either launch and don't sell out, haven't sold out, they fail, rug pulls, any of that. You can see such a big difference. So we want to make sure that you are building a community like Fame Girls, like Alpha Girl, like Women Tribe. We want to make sure that your community is built to last, built to succeed. So yes, we all know communities are vital to your NFT success. I would say to at least 90% of the collections. And I don't foresee that ever changing. And why is that? You know, why won't it ever change that people want and need communities? So I'm going to start with the story. I think that this is going to be, it's really going to hone into why community is so important for humans. So this is a true story, and this was a research done years and years ago. And what they did was they took mice, and I mean, this is a little bit of an not great research study because obviously harmful to animals. So I do not, you know, condone that I don't like that in any way or promote that in any way. Do not like that at all, but this does really show, you know, our case for this. So they took the mice and they would expose them to cherry blossom scent. And every time they did that, they shocked them. And this was a repeated response over and over and over again until the mice were just trained to fear the smell of cherry blossoms. They would smell it and all of a sudden they could see, you know, their brains would go crazy and they would just have these huge stress responses. And then what they found was that in the male mice, their sperm actually mutated. It was a gene in their sperm, which is crazy. And from then, they tested all of the generations after them. They did not train them like they did the original mice. So what they found was that without any training, without any prompting, their little mice babies feared the smell of cherry blossoms too. It's crazy, right? And then, of course, the generations after that, they experienced the same fear. So there's piles of evidence suggesting that there are characteristics outside of our DNA. I mean, it's called epigenetics, epigenetic inheritance, which basically means that we pick up certain molecules from our parents, from generations, from, people in our family that we've never even met before. And they act like DNA and they read like actual DNA. And it transfers from generation to generation. So we have this generational molecular coding that we have, and it makes us feel like we really need communities. We want to feel really safe in communities. I mean, it could be for anything, but for humans as a race in particular, communities is in our DNA. And it goes back to the beginning of mankind. We needed each other to survive the elements of weather, to survive animals eating us. We needed to survive to create life, to just be successful in our lives, to create happiness, to not get killed, to not starve, and all of those things. So you can see with just the cherry blossoms on the shock, something so deep as into whether we live or die, that has been ingrained with us so deep. And we even are starting to see it now. It doesn't end. This example might be from way back at the beginning of mankind, but we're seeing it now with the Russian-Ukrainian, the war. And the Ukrainians are coming together to survive war because they have to. They're being pulled together. They are fighting for each other, with each other. You see grandmas out there with military weaponry. You see women fighting. You see these young adults, basically kids. It is so deeply ingrained in us to need communities. And even without that evidence, it's just, we can feel it in ourselves. We have this innate need, this innate want to be a part of something. It can go back even to as deep as like a core wound, or just something about us where everybody feels like they don't belong at some point in their lives. But why does that matter? It's because it goes back into this deep rooted epigenetic DNA inside of us. The need and feeling of belonging goes way beyond just a group of people. It's part of us as human beings. It is in the fiber of our soul, of our body. It's, I don't know why, but I'm picturing celery, where you like rip it or you bite it and the little strings are still there and you can't get rid of the damn strings. It's kind of like that. Like these strings are this DNA, these molecules that are part of our body that is just so innate with us. This is what communities is. It's like raspberries with the seeds, it's not impossible to get all those little seeds out, but the digging and the precision to actually get them out, I mean, you would just basically demolish the raspberry as a whole. It's very, very hard. And that's really what community is to us. There's so much programming in us. And the need for belonging, like I said, goes far beyond just the group. And on top of that, people are just very lonely in Web 2. With perfectly curated feeds right now, with highlight reels. Web 2 doesn't make people feel good. It just doesn't. It's very hard. And I think that the more that we see that, and over the years, we've realized that a lot more, but we're still obsessed with going back to that. And we still feel bad, even though we know that it's a highlight reel. Yes, we know that stuff bad is going on with them, but we just don't feel like we belong there all the time. And, if that is you, I'm here to tell you that you are not alone. Everybody in their life has felt out of place, that they don't belong. And Web3 is changing that. And I love that. And I think that as us, as, artists, and us being very new and being one of the first people to the space, we need to carry that on. So with all that said, how are we going to tap into this? How are you going to tap into this? It all comes down to having certain elements in place. The foundation, it's the foundation of your community that you are building. And you need to be thinking through a lot of these things when you are creating your community. And as I'm going to go through a list of elements that really craft and create the foundation of your community. And as I go through this list, I want you to think about these elements and how you can incorporate them into your group. Again, it can be any group. It can be, I'm going to say these things and I'll give examples, but take the overarching goal of each of these things, the overarching strategy, the overarching soul of what I'm saying, and take it and tweak it as you need for your own group. You are going to be the one who is leading the charge in your group. You are going to be the one who knows most and best what these people need. Okay, so these elements. First and foremost, there's going to be 4 elements. And the first 2 I want to talk about are purpose and common interest, because they get confused a lot. They are not the same. They are different. So let's talk first about purpose. Communities are built of people who feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. Again, it's going back to the time, survival. We have religion, curing cancer, raising kind humans, creating equality, helping world hunger. These are all very deep and very big. They are the purpose. You have a purpose, or at least you feel like you need to have a purpose and you're searching for your purpose. Your community needs a purpose, and people are looking to get into community that aligns with their purpose. The purpose should also align with you, because this is your group. If you can't stand up for your purpose, who is going to? So it needs to be something that you are deeply, deeply connected with, something that you're potentially going to be stuck with for the rest of your life. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but you're creating these collections that are ultimately creating buyers who are basically investors and basically buying into your community for however long you are around for, and the NFTs are around for, and Web3 is around for, if not beyond that. So it's our identity of self as humans. We need a purpose. We each have a purpose, or the need to have a purpose on this earth. And everyone feels this. It's actually a struggle for most people to truly feel like they are fulfilling their purpose as well. So we all come here and we either don't know what our purpose is, we think we know what our purpose is, we have a lot of deep purposes, but it's very hard for us to really attach to it and to feel like we're fulfilling our purpose, like I said. So how can you help your community fulfill their purpose? This is so deep and so big, because again, you are helping them create and overcome something that has to do with the reason why they're here on earth, but they can't figure out how to do it themselves. That needs to be you, and that needs to be your community. It's big, big shoes to fill. And I'm not going to skirt around that, because that's what we're here to do. And if you're going to be building these communities, this is what it takes. It takes you to be able to show up, go after your purpose, and lead the way for other people to fulfill their purpose as well. So I want to talk a little bit more about this, because in order to have a really sticky group, you want to make sure that this is happening all along the way. You should be talking about this everywhere. You should be coming up with and achieving mini goals together as a group to get to this bigger purpose, even before you mint out. So what I'm seeing is, this group has this big purpose, and then once they get to 50% or 100%, then they're going to do something to, help fulfill that purpose. And that should not be it. You want to be creating little baby steps along the way. And yes, at 50%, you can actually give a lump sum to somebody. But before that, there are things that you can do to help people get there. So even if you don't sell out too, there's that. If you don't sell out, you're still helping people achieve a purpose. It's going to create less fear. It's going to create less deflation if your, launch doesn't sell out in 2 days, if it's, a longer sellout. And it's going to keep you trucking along together, and it's going to create a really sticky community. So I want you to talk about creating these small goals that you can get behind and root each other on for, and, create channels for. And I mean, that's the whole purpose of this anyway. It shouldn't just be about you selling out your NFT collection. It should be about you going after this big goal so you can leave your legacy, so you can help others leave their legacy. So So you should always feel like you are advancing. People always want to feel like every day they're getting better. And that's what your group should be doing too. People come to this group and they stay in the group because this group helps them advance. It helps them get to the next level of where they want to go. And this is in their life, in this community specifically. It's deep. And another way you can do this too is how you can incorporate this is the pre-sale list, the gold list is don't make people hustle. Stop the hustle. I mean, it's very exclusive when you make people hustle anyway, but instead make people do something that is going to get them one step closer to fulfilling their purpose. If you can do that, you're going to get the right people in your community. First of all, people who are going to stay in your community, and it's going to make your community really, really sticky. Trust me, the purpose is so huge here. Okay, so now that I've gotten very passionate about that, let's talk about common interests. So this is going to be a lot more lighthearted. So common interests are basically what people are interested in. It's the common theme of like, who are the besties that you want in your life, in your community? So some examples are, 90s babes, 90s kids. Maybe there's some interest around food, foodies, health and wellness, books. Having an identity and common interest helps us understand ourselves as humans, and also really, it can attach us to each other in the group. It's how we label ourselves so we can fit in with the group. Again, going back to survival instincts, we want to know how we fit into this group. So there's the purpose, yes, but then beyond that, it's so many groups have the same purpose, and then it's drilling it down into, okay, how can I deeper connect with the actual people in this group versus just the purpose as a whole? And as your group gets bigger, I would say, think about your top 3. This is going to align with your core values as well. Core values will align with basically everything we talk about today. But come up with 3. As your group gets a little bit bigger, it's especially going to be helpful. 3 to 5, you can add in a few more, and it's going to help people find groups within groups and then again become really attached to it. So you can have groups that are, moms. Maybe it is people who are really into astrology. It can be, again, like we said, people who want to have a monthly book club. So the common interest is the thread of connection. So sales is an exchange of energy. It can feel good or it can feel not so good. I will get into that probably in another time, another masterclass. But you want to keep this thread of connection this tight and take care of it. So let me give you an example. When you go in and you meet somebody new for the first time, you realize you have a random connection, a random person that all of a sudden you both light up, you spark, and you start creating conversation. And you have this interest, and now you're connected to these people. It's like this invisible, like heartstring, I'm going to call it the invisible heartstring. I like it, the thread of connection. And it could be anything. If you walk into somebody's office and you see a picture of their 3-year-old girl, and you have a 3-year-old girl, that's another heartstring, another thread of connection. And so this brings me back, and why I say this is you can feel that connection with somebody when you have something in common. That's what we're creating here. And when it comes time for the sales and having that exchange of energy, it has a thread that it can run through. It's like a kite. If you have a string with a kite and you try to fly it, that string needs to be tight. It can't be loose, or else it's just going to be like really wobbly and all over the place. Or like a slack line or a tightrope, it needs to be tight, because you can't be walking over something like super wobbly. And the more authentic this connection is, the tighter it's going to be. So I want you to think of it that way. Like, we're really priming people to feel like they're connected in this community, connected to each other, connected to you, connected to me. And again, it's creating that tight heartstring for when the time comes for that sales, for that energy exchange. That energy can zip through that line versus, instead of just being in water and it kind of just scrambling everywhere. Hope that makes sense. That was a really random metaphor, but I feel that deeply is really having that heartstring there and really feeling that thread of connection that people have in this community. Community is like the thread. It's like the blanket, you know, you want to be intertwined and interwoven in a really authentic and feel good way. So again, how can you create that in your community? So to recap, the purpose gets people into your community. And if you follow the steps that we talked about, it's going to create a really sticky group. It's going to create a group that just stands the test of time. And then common interest creates those cords of belonging, those cords of connection. So again, very different, both very important. And a lot of times people look at them separately and they treat them like one, not separately. They treat them like they are the same thing, and they are not the same thing. Okay, so now that we got through that, I would say that that is the biggest bulk of it. And I would sit down for a while and truly think about this and think about it and sleep on it and think about it for a while, because you're going to want to get specific. So talking about getting specific, we need to figure out who is our group for. Again, get specific, stay niche, and getting specific it helps you stand for something, and it helps you stand out, and it helps you be really loud in a space that, especially in Discord, there's an onslaught of communities and channels there. How can you stand out? And with this community and this Web3 industry growing, it's going to become a lot noisier. Getting niche is how you stand out. So you can have a group for mothers, or, you can have a group of mothers who have lost themselves after baby and just want to have a place where they can go vent, have adult conversations, and find themselves again. Or honestly, it can just be mothers who just really want community and connection. It can be that easy, but you don't just want like, hey, mothers, again, that's going to be, okay, cool. Like there's 50,000 mother groups. And there's a little bit of marketing psychology here that I always try to get people to do. And it's getting to say little mini yeses. So when it's time for the big yes, they say yes. So when you say, and you talk about your group as in mothers, are you mother? Yes. Are you a mother who has lost themselves? Yes. I've lost myself after a baby. So in their head, they're reading your description and they're saying yes to themselves. Are you a mother who has lost themselves after a baby and you want a place where you can go vent and you can have adult conversations? Yes. And you can find yourselves again. Yes. See how many yeses there are? And they're going to, again, psychologically feel a lot more connected to your community already. So be so clear as well that you naturally exclude people. People are so afraid that they are going to hurt people's feelings, that they are going to exclude people, that they stay general, and you want to exclude people. Trust me. And these people that you're excluding, they're not going to have success in your community anyway. They're not going to get the most benefit out of your community anyway. They most likely need a different community to get to their purpose in life. So you are doing somebody a disservice if you are not excluding them for community when they need to be excluded. I hope that makes sense. It also makes people want to be a part of your community even more if they do fit the yes buckets, because they do feel that deeper connection. So again, get them to feel the yes. And then once you start getting more specific and talking about it, they're just going to be obsessed with it and have to join. So also think about it this way. So you find out you have a brain tumor and you need to get surgery. Are you going to go to the general surgeon who does a little bit of everything? Or are you going to go to the brain surgeon who only does brain tumors? Maybe it's even like a brain tumor on a specific part of the brain. That's your part of the brain. You are going to go to the surgeon who specializes. It's just you feel safe there. So keep that in mind. And I mentioned that when you get very clear, you're going to naturally exclude people, which is good. And going even a step farther, you specifically want to know and state who your group is not for. Get very specific again. So that, maybe this is not for the mom who feels like she has it all together. This is not for the mom who shames other moms, or this is not for the mom who gossips. Even you can go the opposite direction, and maybe you love these people, but maybe it's the mom dealing with postpartum depression, and you just can't help out with them, and you don't have the credentials to do so. Them being in that group could be a detriment to them. So you just want to make sure that, hey, if you're here and you're trying to get relief from your postpartum depression, this group is not for you. Yes, we are here, but you need to make sure that you are going somewhere else to get the help that you need and get the right help. Go get the help where somebody is qualified to help you. We don't have that proper support here. So again, you want to be very specific of who you want and who the community is for and who it's not for, whether or not you would be best friends with this person anyway. So this is great too, because some other examples, and this is getting rid of the people who are here for a quick flip. Like you can even say like if you're here for the quick flip, this isn't for you. If you do this, and that, and it's, this would be, and it's not part of your core values, it goes against your core values, you want to make sure that those people are not in there. This group is not for you. If you're racist, if you're homophobic, this group is not for you. If you don't believe in unicorns, trust me, you're not going to have fun here. If you don't like to party, you're not going to have fun here. So with all these elements in place, again, it all needs to be so incredibly clear. It needs to be clearly communicated. And how it's clearly communicated is that you need to become clear on all of these things. From when you invite people from Twitter into your Discord, from when you shill in other Discords, when you talk about it in Twitter spaces, when you're talking to people on the street, when you are posting things in your community, it should be so incredibly clear. So the first thing that people should see is everything that we talked about. So when people come in to your group, there should be something that blatantly says, welcome, here's our purpose. Again, getting very specific, here are core values, boom, boom, boom. You can even list them out. It makes it just brief and clear. You want to be to the point, like no fluff, no clutter. This is exactly what we stand for. Who are we? Who is this for? You can list out your interests. This is kind of like where the interest would come into play. Who is this not for? Again, list it out, make it very easy for people to digest and to say, okay, yes, this is for me, I'm going to move forward, or no, this is not, I'm going to leave. You do not want the people who don't check all the boxes in your community. Trust me. It might mean that you get, well, I was going to say that you get less people in there, but I actually don't think that's the case. I think that you actually will get more people in there if you're specific, because of you standing out and you standing for something very specific that people can get behind. Yeah. And so make sure that they agree to that before they become a part of your community. I talked about when we're thinking about posting to the group of people, go back to the list that we talked about. So, your homework tonight is to go through all of these buckets, get very clear on each bucket, and then you can communicate it. You can figure out how you're going to communicate this, whether it's in your bio, great place, your Twitter bio, the community description, wherever that is, the community rules. And also on top of that, you have a whole list of content ideas. So the content you should be creating should inherently be based around all of these listed out. There should be so much similarity between you, your beliefs, everywhere you are writing content to your community, everything that's going on in your community, and everything that is also intertwined with what you are selling. It all needs to have that link. If anything is broken in there, this is not going to work. So your homework tonight is go back to and list out your purpose, your interests, the core values, who your group is for, who it's not for. And honestly, just take a few hours, even an hour, sit down, batch out all of the content that you could ever create for, maybe it's how you introduce yourself, your bio, tweets, TikTok videos. things that you can do, contests in your Discord that align with this. Everything should revolve around these foundations, everything. So yeah, go through these buckets, and this is going to be your homework for tonight before you watch the next video. I really urge you to go through this. Even if you have to go back and rewatch this and pause and then write it down, do it. Even if you watch this once and you just are so inspired and you write along with it, however it works for you, make sure that you really do sit down with this and you really think about it hard. Get yourself like some cacao or whatever you need to really open up your heart. Go to somewhere quiet. Maybe you get your oils out. Maybe you go to a room where you can listen to a playlist that really gets you into the vibes of your purpose and really being able to turn inward. The more you can turn inward and create this stuff, the more you can really pull from the depths of your soul and figuring out your purpose, the better this is all going to be. It should automatically just kind of flow through you. So you need to get to the space of flow. Okay. So that is day one, the foundations of really creating that solid foundation. So your community is built to last, and it is going to stand the test of time, no matter what happens in Web3. If it crashes, if it becomes oversaturated, you will always have this community, which is crazy. That's actually really crazy to think. I've never thought about that before. But this is something that you are building for you, for community, for this world. It's pretty powerful. So go back, do your homework, ask questions in the thread, leave a testimonial if you are feeling called to. Give me a tweet shout out if you're feeling called to. I will use all of these at some point when this is all packaged up to resell and get people excited. And I will also use your testimonials as feedback into what I can be doing better. So, I 100% recommend an authentic testimonial than anything else. And we have a graphic. So share the graphic and tag me. And the graphic and tagging me on Twitter at NFT Caitlin, or if you leave a testimonial, that will count as a drawing, and I will pick one, maybe two winners, to seeing how much we get for our launch program, which I'm going to talk about that. And if you leave a testimonial and share the graphic, that's two. So you can get up to 2 entries if you are feeling called, if you're feeling aligned with this. But the winners will get access to my next paid program. It is called Launch. It's going to be 3 to 5 days. I'm trying to actually flesh this out now to figure it out, but it's going to be 3 to 5 days, and it will be my flagship program. So this will be the first time I'll be launching this, and I'm launching it, and it obviously is called Launch because it's all about launching your NFT collection. So building your community marketing is one aspect. Then there's the launch. It's very specific, and it is the most needed, and it is what's going to move the needle in your sales the most after you build your community. So it naturally comes after community. It's a perfect segue. And from this program, you will understand exactly what you need to do in order to create a launch that creates buzz, that gets people excited, and that sells out. This by far is the biggest question I get is, how do I launch? What do I do? What do I do day by day? This will specifically spell it all out. This is going to be, because it's the first iteration, and I want people in here, and I want to get people excited, and I want to generate buzz around this because it is so important, that it is going to be the cheapest it will ever be. So it is going to be $250 this round. It is going to be, around there. I will be posting an NFT for it, and you can purchase it that way, or you can just purchase it through USD. I want to make sure that it's accessible to everybody and anybody who gets access to this. It's going to be $250, but for you guys, it is going to be $99 until March 25th. Okay. And this is if you're live with me, of course. If you're watching the replay, I'm sure it's probably the price has gone up because we have tested and we have, gone over all this stuff and made it perfect. So if you're here, launch will always be available. So you can come to me, just DM me and figure out the price. If you're watching this down the road, if you're live with me here, you will get this program for $99 if you purchase before March 25th. March 25th is when everything comes down and it's packaged. This community masterclass is packaged into a paid program. So like I said before, there are 3 classes. I am launching them all this week. The last day of actual education is going to be on this Friday. So you have a full week to watch all of these and a full week to purchase your access into launch. If you're interested, if you have questions, DM me. More than happy to support you in any way that I can in answering questions and making you feel comfortable about this. All right. Other than that, keep that in mind, keep that in your back pocket, and really sit down and go through the homework before you watch day 2. I hope you found this so helpful. Thank you so much for being here. I know that this is time consuming and it takes time, but I truly feel that this is the best thing that you can be doing for your NFT collection, for yourself, for the people in your community, and for this world. I truly do, because it all is harnessed into this purpose and to really creating your legacy in this world. Thank you so much for being here.